Hello, and here we have Dark of the Moon, Dragstrip. And why the pause? Well, what do I have to say about this guy besides the fact he's based off of a G1 character? That's a pretty rare thing for a movie toy. There's not a lot of them that are based off of pre-existing things outside of the movieverse, and Dragstrip is one of them. Bloody hell, it's windy outside. Don't know if the mic picks that up, but um, yeah, man, this is pretty cool. It's not entirely accurate to the G1 design, given the fact that this is a much kind of newer, sleeker F1 car, whereas the original design used a much older model which had like 6 wheels and stuff. It was also proportioned differently. But yeah, this guy, we're starting him off in vehicle mode because, unlike the rest of the bunch, this is a character in a sense. He's actually based off of a G1 guy that already existed, as opposed to being a toy only thing. So I definitely think it's the most distinct and characterful part of this figure, and that's really it. And sadly, I don't have the Human Alliance figure for this one, but I do have the weapons, which are on the underside of the toy. So yeah, beautiful stuff. Detailing here, nice wing pattern with the Decepticon insignia, kind of over there. There you go. We have beautiful airbrush, kind of some gradient paint here. There you go, a bit of purple, fades out. This metallic purple here. Gradient on the blades. That same little wing pattern here. Yeah, generally this is very, very basic in its approach, but it's beautiful at the same time. There's also some yellow paint here and here. Beautiful stuff. So for the vehicle mode size comparison, here we have Alternator Swindle, GDO Wheelie, Human Alliance Ice Pick, Ralph, Steve. Now, this is cool. I'm perfectly happy with this. Should an F1 car be the same size as a Snowscape? Well, I'm not really sure about that, buddy, but hey, toys are gonna toys. And, I'm all for it. I'm not too bothered about these smaller guys having to be in scale with everyone else, because even the bigger F1 cars, for instance, aren't going to be to scale with everyone else all of the time. Now, just to kind of show you how the human functionality works with this, here we have the figure that comes with Whirl. Yeah, Whirl. This comes with Whirl. Yeah, it just goes in there. His name is Major Sparkplug. We omitted that in the last video, purely because it was a piece of information I forgot. Generally, though, I'm very, very happy with how this works. The original guy this comes with is cast in a dark, smoky grey, translucent plastic, and he's wearing a race driver outfit with like the helmet and stuff. So it's very visually unique, but not necessarily the most exciting thing in the world. There's definitely better humans that come with these toys, but I don't have him. I hope to have him soon. Yeah, generally really cool. So for the transformation, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take the arms, we're going to split them at the front, like so. Okay. We're going to swing these round. Now, for the sake of getting things out of the way, we're going to fold the swords round on the ball joint. Just make sure you don't pop them off the C-clip. Now, these sections are tabbed into the back. These, my friends, will become the legs. We're going to take this spoiler section. We're going to fold it up. Apologies if we go out of frame at any point, because even after several months of trying to get this right, I am still able to make mistakes. It's truly a wonderful thing. Okay, right. We're going to try and look through the camera and do this, because generally might yield a higher success rate. Okay, right. Fold the feet around. Basically, right, even if I don't kind of baby you through it and kind of tell you every single little thing you need to do, I'm sure watching this as a viewer, you would kind of see what I'm doing and go, okay, yeah, cool, And even if you don't have the toy, maybe it'll give you an idea of how it's going to work if it's something you are after. which is, you know, something I'm happy with. Oh my word, what have I done? What it? I'm just gonna manually sort that out. Right. Turn the ball socket around. There you go, fixed on camera. Beautiful stuff. Now this figure is going to get penalized, I tell you. Okay, here we have him. Robot mode for Dark and Moon Dragstrip. He is cool. Is he articulate? Spoiler, no. He doesn't look very articulate either, so you know you're not gonna be really let down by it, you know, because if you look at it and you have some level of expectation based on the joints you can see, you're gonna know not to get too excited over it. Anyway, so we've removed the C-clip weapons purely because hand in camera. Purely because, you know, it's going to be very relevant to show him holding the weapons. Generally, it's really cool. Same paint detailing as the alt mode, you know, except now I can actually point out that this whole black section is painted. The face is beautifully painted. You know, it's a weird shape with the weird pokey out the side of the head, ear things, whatever they are. The G1 toy, or G1 character model had those ears. Or a similar thing, you know, but the overall head shape and stuff and the fact he's got a mouth plate, it's definitely different. He's got these cool feet. Don't take that out of context, please. Yeah, he's generally cool. Even from the back, you know, this is a very cool silhouette in my opinion, and I believe the instructions might suggest you have these folded up to kind of give him that kind of V-wing section. Yeah, V-wing, whatever. You know, that cool little look. Generally, though, this is cool. There are also these parts. I'm yet to figure out what purpose they serve, but they exist. And as for the weapons, right, so we're going to go around to the C-clip section on the back. We're going to plug that in. You can do this on both sides. So now he has choppy sword. So for the articulation on this fella, let's keep it brief. Shoulders are going to go up that much before being impeded by the whole back assembly. Maybe that much if you push it. They're going to have like all the range in the world up, which is truly wonderful. Even like, yeah, sure, you bell and clip themselves, right? You're not going to have to do it. It's just a tolerance issue on the mold. Yeah, I'm not knocking it. It's a point of articulation at this point. Does he have elbows? No, but he has these weird joints that allow the elbows to go inwards. Strange. There's no wrists, but there are molded yet painted hands. Bicep swivel, not really, but due to the fact it's on a ball joint at the shoulder, there is a bit of a swivel inwards and outwards, so points there. Would it equate to having a proper like wrist swivels or bicep swivels or anything? No, it doesn't. You know, it's just entire arm movement, and that's not as useful. Head is going to go that much round. This whole back panel it's on is kind of getting in the way. Whoa, we killed him. Maybe I shouldn't use that word. YouTube might be angry with me, but I probably called something shite in the last video, so, you know, no points for me. Yeah. Head does go all the way around, but I did pop it off. Apologies. Tiny bit of left, tiny bit of right. Maximum down, tiny bit of up. No waist. That's okay. Legs kick really far up. Knee bend is quite deep. There you go, let's lock that. So, legs are going to go back that much. Legs are going to go out like so, beautiful spread. And then finally we get to the thigh swivel. Sorry, this isn't going to be much shorter than normal. And then toe bend downwards. So yeah, leg articulation is good. You know, it's what you'd expect from something like this. Pre-ankle pivot, you know. even though figures before this had ankles, but we don't talk about those too much. Hey, there you go. Beautiful stuff. The robot mode size comparison. Here we have Dark of the Moon Ironhide, Dark of the Moon Q, Human Alliance Whirl, Ralph, Steve. Generally, robot mode, you know, he's got all the movie stylings and whatnot, and he does look good with everything else. In terms of size, he's a very similar size to Whirl. Whirl is a bit maybe on the shorter end due to the fact he has a kind of hunched knees or whatever. But you know, I'm generally okay with it, and he topples over, as you do. He's had too much drink, that's what it is. No. Other than that, he looks fine with your Voyager and Deluxe figures. At least in my opinion, you know, to each their own. You might have different standards of kind of what you want the smaller figures to look like with the big ones. But to me, you know, he's a dude that kind of exists. He looks cool. So for the final rankings on this guy, do I try and be as fair as possible to this one? The aesthetics on the robot mode, you know, he is missing certain joints and things like the pins being in place of where elbows could be. I don't know from an engineering standpoint how feasible elbows are, but you know, I do think it was possible. From an articulate, we're moving on. No, look, aesthetics on this guy are a 8 out of 10. I generally really like both modes, but he is let down by, say, screws in place of where the elbow should be, and that's really it. You know, other than that, he's just, besides being yellow, he's not the most amazing thing in the world to me, you know, but he is definitely good from a visual standpoint, right? Articulation on this guy, it kind of swings and roundabouts. The arm articulation is where he's let down. The lack of elbows and the bicep swivel really sucks. The leg movement is good. The shoulder movement is excellent. There is a bit of a inward movement at the shoulder due to the ball joint, because that kind of swivels a little bit. So I guess that's where the bicep swivel is, but it's in a really weird spot and doesn't function as normal. So articulation on this guy is just go get 5 out of 10. Everything he does right is far greater than the 2 things he does wrong, and even the head popping off the ball. The head movement is actually there, you know. So I'd give him waist and elbows, and that bicep swivel just fix it up slightly and problem solved. You know, you might get a bit better. So yeah, 5 out of 10 on that one. You know, I could push for a 6 if I really well be biased about things like the shoulder movement and the deep knees and the leg movement, which maybe. Generally though, it just, comparative to all his other people, it feels alright. And then that kind of leads us onto the transformation on this guy. Even though we didn't reverse this time, it's definitely a 7. You know, it's not the best thing in the world. It's not the worst thing in the world. I don't dislike it at all. It took me a little bit of wrapping my head around the first time I did it, purely because I didn't know what was going at the front of the vehicle, what was going at the back. Like the way the legs work, that got me. Man, we've run over 13 minutes. And yeah, just transformation's actually a nice process on this guy, so cool stuff. And then value for money on this. Regardless of whether I have the human or not, you know, just subbing in another human works perfectly fine. I do think the value for money on this guy is a 7 as well. It's definitely solid. You know, you get something that looks really cool in both modes, and you get a process, a transformation process that isn't necessarily hard. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it's fun. You know, you can definitely enjoy doing it. Generally though, this is a very solid release, you know, better than some of the ones we've already reviewed. Not as good as well in my opinion, but that might just be me, I'm not sure. Let me know what you think down below, because you know, if you've got something you like more in Human Alliance, I'm all for it. And I'm just kind of willing to hear your thoughts, really. And yeah, that leaves him overall as a just splendid guy, you know. Maybe one day I'll tier list the figures I've reviewed, but I don't know if I'm willing to do something like that at the moment. But yeah, this has been AnimatedCHUG. Thank you for watching. This has been your 14 minutes and 43-second video. Goodbye.